Imagine a world where power never runs out. No more blackouts, no more soaring bills, no more dependence on oil or unstable grids. Well, in September 2025, that future may have just arrived, because Maxwell has unveiled a self-powered generator that's not only shocking the nation, but also shaking the very foundations of the global energy industry. This isn't just another gadget or futuristic prototype. We're talking about a breakthrough that could end our reliance on fossil fuels, challenge the dominance of electric grids, and give every home, every business, and even entire cities the power to generate energy endlessly. Earlier this month, Maxwell Technologies showcased their self-powered generator, a device that requires no traditional fuel, no charging, and no constant external input. Once activated, it produces its own continuous energy supply, enough to power homes, vehicles, and even industrial facilities. And the best part? It's compact, scalable, and ready for real-world applications. At its core, the generator uses advanced electromagnetic resonance combined with revolutionary energy-capturing systems that scientists once thought were impossible to sustain. Unlike solar or wind, this doesn't rely on weather or location. Unlike traditional batteries, it doesn't deplete. Instead, it taps into principles of perpetual energy cycles that Maxwell engineers have refined for decades. The result? A clean, limitless power source. Already, several U.S. states are preparing pilot programs to test Maxwell's technology on residential grids. Energy analysts predict that if rolled out nationwide, America could slash its dependency on fossil fuels by up to 70% within the next decade. And globally, countries racing to adopt renewable tech may now have to pivot, as this generator could leapfrog every existing system on the market. Think about it. No more worrying about rising electricity costs. No more charging your EV overnight from an unstable grid. No more massive power plants polluting the skies. Instead, every household could become its own power station, self-sufficient and unstoppable. But of course, big breakthroughs bring big questions. How affordable will Maxwell's generator be for everyday families? Will traditional energy giants try to fight back? And is this truly the dawn of infinite energy, or just the beginning of another battle for control of the future? One thing is certain. September 2025 marks a turning point in the history of energy. Maxwell's self-powered generator is here, and the world may never be the same again. What do you think? Is this the ultimate energy revolution, or is it too good to be true? Let's talk in the comments. While America celebrates, the world is watching with wide eyes. Energy ministers in Europe are already scrambling to schedule talks with Maxwell's executives. Meanwhile, in Asia, China, the world's largest energy consumer, is reportedly working around the clock to analyze the technology and determine how it could shift the balance of global power. If Maxwell truly holds the keys to self-sustaining energy, then we are not just looking at a technological leap, but an energy arms race unlike anything we've seen before. Let's think bigger. If households, businesses, and industries no longer need to rely on traditional grids, what happens to trillion-dollar energy corporations? Oil giants, utility monopolies, and even renewable startups may find their business models collapsing overnight. Imagine Wall Street reacting to a technology that makes entire industries obsolete. And yet, while some fear the collapse, others see it as the greatest wealth transfer opportunity of the century. But here's where things get truly fascinating. This isn't just about governments or corporations. This is about you, ordinary citizens. For the first time in history, individuals could literally control their own endless supply of power. Families in rural America, villages in Africa, high-rise apartments in crowded cities. Every community could become energy independent. No more dependence on power companies. No more monopolies holding the switch. Power, in every sense of the word, would return to the people. Yet, breakthroughs like this don't rise without a fight. Think about it. Trillions of dollars, decades of influence, and countless political alliances built on energy dominance. Do you really believe the old system will let go that easily? Already, whispers of lobbying, lawsuits, and backdoor negotiations are spreading. Some insiders warn that attempts to suppress or control Maxwell's generator have already begun. After all, history has shown us what happens when disruptive technologies threaten powerful empires. Behind closed doors, confidential meetings are taking place. Energy lobbyists are pressing Washington to regulate Maxwell's generator before it spreads uncontrollably. Leaked memos suggest that certain oil and gas corporations are already crafting strategies to buy stakes in the company, not to innovate, but to control and perhaps even bury the technology. Meanwhile, tech analysts argue that the cat is already out of the bag, and once consumers witness what the generator can do, no amount of corporate interference will stop the tidal wave of change. And it's not just about homes and businesses. Military strategists are closely eyeing Maxwell's invention. Imagine forward bases, naval fleets, or even spacecraft powered by generators that never need refueling. The U.S. Defense Department has quietly labeled the technology as a matter of national security priority. Because if America adopts it first, it secures an edge. If rivals gain access first, the balance of global power could tilt overnight. Interestingly, even among scientists, there's a split. Some call it the most important technological discovery since electricity itself. Others dismiss it as pseudoscience, demanding peer-reviewed data before believing. Maxwell, of course, has published only limited technical details, citing patents and proprietary methods. But one thing is clear, whether skeptics accept it or not, the machine is working, and it's working now. That undeniable fact is turning doubters into reluctant believers. Picture what could unfold if this technology scales. Self-powered generators in every electric car, no charging stations needed. Factories running day and night without drawing from fossil fuels. Cities glowing endlessly without ever worrying about blackouts. And for the first time in modern history, humanity could leap from an age of energy scarcity to an age of energy abundance. But abundance is never neutral. It attracts competition. Already, reports suggest rival nations are racing to replicate Maxwell's breakthrough. In Europe, a coalition of research labs is pooling resources to reverse engineer early prototypes. In China, state-backed engineers are said to be dissecting leaked blueprints, determined to accelerate their own version of the generator. And in Silicon Valley, startups are raising billions on the promise of creating alternative designs, hoping to rival or outpace Maxwell before the monopoly forms. And where competition rises, so does espionage. Intelligence agencies are now quietly involved, watching closely for signs of infiltration. Rumors swirl that cyber attacks targeting Maxwell servers have already taken place, with foreign fingerprints detected in the code. If true, this isn't just an energy story anymore. It's a cyber war fought in shadows, where access to limitless power can mean dominance for the next century. Yet amid the chaos, ordinary people are telling their stories. A farmer in Kansas running his entire operation without a single drop of diesel. A small town in Africa lighting up schools for the first time with donated Maxwell units. Families in blackout-prone cities now experiencing steady power for the first time in decades. For them, the generator is not an abstract technology or geopolitical chess piece. It is hope, freedom, and survival. But with every success story comes a looming question: how fast can the world adapt? Energy infrastructures built over a century cannot pivot overnight. Transitioning too quickly risks chaos. Moving too slowly risks suppression by entrenched powers. And hanging over everything is the unknown. How long can Maxwell keep its lead before the design leaks, before counterfeit appear, before the balance of power shifts again? In major U.S. cities, construction crews are already tearing into the old grid, rewiring entire blocks to integrate Maxwell's generators. Architects are designing buildings with built-in self-power cores, eliminating the need for external lines altogether. Transportation planners are sketching out highways where electric trucks, buses, and even freight trains run endlessly without charging stations. Step by step, the skeleton of modern civilization, its wires, pipelines, and fueling stations, is being redesigned in real time. Diplomats warn that the geopolitical map is shifting under our feet. Oil-rich nations fear economic ruin, while energy-dependent countries see a path to liberation. Some leaders embrace Maxwell as a partner, offering incentives for rapid deployment. Others whisper of sanctions, blockades, and covert operations to delay its spread. What we're watching is not just an energy revolution, but the redrawing of global influence, a silent war where the battlefield is the future itself. As the spotlight grows brighter, so do the shadows around Maxwell. Reports emerge of suspicious surveillance near company headquarters. Employees whisper of phishing attempts, break-ins, even drones spotted above research sites. Security firms are being hired to guard not just the facilities, but the scientists themselves. Some insiders claim Maxwell staff live under constant pressure, aware that what they created has made them both pioneers and targets. Whispers of sabotage spread quickly. In one instance, a shipment of experimental generators bound for Europe was mysteriously delayed, then intercepted. In another, a research partner's lab in Asia was hit by a cyber attack, wiping terabytes of data overnight. Were these coincidences, or signs of a coordinated effort to stall the revolution before it takes root? No one can prove it yet, but suspicion runs deep and the stakes are too high to ignore. In Washington, political divides widen. Some lawmakers push for Maxwell's generator to be declared critical infrastructure, tightly controlled by the federal government. Others argue it must remain open and accessible to the public, a tool of liberation, not regulation. The debate is fierce, broadcast daily across news outlets, with lobbyists, activists, and energy giants clashing over who should truly hold the keys to this limitless power. Meanwhile, ordinary people wait and watch. Some see the generator as salvation, the end of scarcity. Others fear it could unleash new conflicts, new monopolies, new forms of control. And as September 2025 bleeds into the future, the world holds its breath, caught between hope and upheaval, between promise and peril, between a new dawn and the unknown darkness that may follow. In Europe, protests erupt as citizens demand immediate access to Maxwell's generator, accusing governments of stalling under pressure from energy giants. In South America, grassroots movements begin smuggling small units across borders, calling it the people's power. Meanwhile, in parts of Africa and Southeast Asia, NGOs are racing to deploy pilot projects, lighting up schools, hospitals, and villages once forgotten by the global grid. For millions, Maxwell's breakthrough is no longer a headline. It is a lifeline. Satellites track unusual shipments, secret test sites, and even suspected covert labs racing to replicate Maxwell's designs. Intelligence briefings leak, hinting at shadow programs buried within military budgets. Aerial images show sprawling compounds under construction in remote deserts. Are they testing facilities or stockpiled preparing for something bigger? The truth is murky, but one thing is clear. Nations aren't waiting for public rollout. The race has already moved into the shadows. Global markets swing violently. Oil-dependent economies see currencies crash. Renewable firms file lawsuits demanding government protection. Yet, new companies explode overnight, promising innovations that orbit Maxwell's invention, storage solutions, adaptive grids, portable applications. Some call it the next gold rush. Others warn it a bubble waiting to burst. Wall Street may not agree on the future, but one fact is undeniable. Maxwell's generator has become the center of the world's economy. And now, whispers spread of an announcement, Maxwell preparing to unveil something even bigger than before. Insiders suggest the first commercial-scale generator could roll out within months, not years. If true, it won't just change the rules of the game. It will rewrite the game entirely. Governments, corporations, and entire industries know it. The question is, who will seize the moment, and who will be left in the shadows? As autumn 2025 unfolded, the world realized it was witnessing more than an invention. It was a turning point in history. Maxwell's self-powered generator was no longer just a prototype whispered about in scientific circles. It was real, it was spreading, and it was unstoppable. For every act of sabotage, there were 10 breakthroughs. For every voice of resistance, there were 100 demanding change. Nations that embraced the technology found themselves thriving, cities glowing brighter, industries booming, citizens freed from the grip of energy bills and shortages. Others, who resisted, soon realized the cost of hesitation. The global map of power shifted not with weapons oil, but with a quiet hum of endless energy. No pipelines, no tankers, no blackouts, only a steady current of progress. Ordinary people became the true winners. Villages once in darkness now pulsed with light. Farmers powered irrigation without fuel. Children studied under lamps that never flickered. Families drove cars that never needed charging. For the first time in centuries, power was not controlled by the few. It flowed freely to the many. And so, From that September breakthrough, humanity entered a new chapter, an age of energy abundance. The wars of oil faded into memory, replaced by possibilities stretching to the stars. Because with limitless energy, even the impossible becomes within reach. From colonizing distant planets to creating cities that never sleep, the world had changed forever. And it all began with a generator that powered itself. Maxwell didn't just shock the nation, it shocked the world. And in doing so, it gave humanity the one thing it had always sought, the power to light its own future.